Hello and welcome to a special episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo, coming to you from the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark. Today, we're celebrating remarkable women from across the Garden State, because when women come together to share their stories, lives change. We'll travel to Paramus, where Demystify Menopause is opening the doors to conversations long kept in the shadows. Then, we'll meet Danielle Sherman-Lazar, a Tenafly-based author and mental health advocate whose honest reflections on motherhood are helping others find strength, grace, and healing. But first, we begin here at NJPAC for Let's Talk Women's Health and Wellness, a day rooted in community, connection, and the power of women lifting each other up. At the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark, women from across the state came together for an unforgettable day of insight, advocacy, and empowerment. Let's Talk Women's Health and Wellness, now in its third year, is the brainchild of Deb Belfato, a leader in New Jersey's nonprofit space and a tireless champion of women's health.
The power of today is like palpable. I'm feeling it like everywhere, anywhere. And I just want to thank all of these women for showing up because they matter and they deserve this day. And when you look at the women that showed up today, that's what the world should look like. The sisterhood, the camaraderie, the trust, it's just everything.
I am having an amazing day. It is food for the soul. It's food for my mind. I'm inspired. I have knowledge about everything related to women's health, and I am just impressed with the level of acumen, the level of intelligence in this room, and I love the spirit of the women in this room. It's just an amazing experience, and I wish everyone could have it.
I sat down with doctors, community leaders, and passionate attendees from a special pop-up studio at the event, asking what women in the Garden State need most to feel seen, supported, and heard.
I love it. This is exciting. It's great to be in the heart of Brick City. I'm from Newark, so it's really exciting to see these kinds of programs here where we can get to. It's easy, it's accessible, and we get to meet wonderful, wonderful people.
I mean, what a thing for the community here.
Absolutely.
And I know that's so important to you because the women here may not have the access, the tools, the know-how. I mean, here it's open for everyone.
Absolutely. And I invited a great group of women, young women, because I want them to get more involved in their health. I didn't have that opportunity, so it's important that we start educating our young women about the importance of their health now.
What inspires you to join us here today at Let's Talk?
Nothing makes me happier than to be able to spread the word of women's health. It's what I've done with my book. It's what I do with Alloy, because I think that there's really not been enough of the larger conversations about women's health. We've had them one-on-one in doctors' offices, but it's spotty because it depends on the doctor that you have. But I think that there should be a shared body of knowledge that all women should have. And I think that women want to do better, and they would if they knew what to do. So that's our job.
I have been in the healthcare industry for over 30 years in women's health. And back when I first started my career, women's health lived in the shadows. Like, it was not the big, sexy topic that everybody wanted to talk about. And it was often minimized to just being about reproductive health or maternity care. And it's only been recently, the past probably 5-ish years, that it's really starting to get the attention that it deserves.
We need to push further in the conversation of what public health is going to look like in the future, because we're seeing chaos in a way, right? But as I stated before, there's opportunity here. We need to take opportunity of what we're seeing right now and create something that makes sense.
People have been through some very tough things, cancer and other diseases, and they've lost loved ones. So everybody's here, I think, to really support each other and celebrate. And it's obviously a conference full of a whole lot of beautiful women. So this is amazing.
But the true heart of the day went beyond information. It was all about transformation.
We've forged a tribe, and to see women come for themselves but look to the left and to the right and get that support.
Just the complement of people who are here, the skills, the talents, the brilliance. There's so much to satisfy all the senses. Like your whole person really is being attended to. And I love that, because that's what being well and that's what being whole is all about.
As the day unfolded, bonds were formed. A spirit of resiliency and unity filled every corner of NJPAC.
Just to be surrounded by, powerful women, who have such powerful stories to tell, it's honestly so tantalizing, just beautiful.
You're able to really just focus on people and listen to people. It's easy to want to do more and see where the voids are, right? And see where it is that the help is most needed, because you're listening to the people.
Advocacy plays a large role in all of this. I don't care how smart you are and how much you know, there's always something that you don't. And it's making sure that we bring people together that are like-minded in an industry to really explain what we can bring to the table and how we can support each other.
Everyone is responding to something different, which really means we checked all the boxes, because, it's firing, for everybody.
Being in concert with so many people that are laser focused on education, empowerment, health and wellness, all of that support, you feel it. You can't but help to be like, hey, did you get your mammogram? Did you get your colonoscopy? You're okay to talk about the hot flashes you're having, and is this normal? Everyone is like, yes.
I do love the energy that you feel in every single room, every single hall that you walk through. The speakers are dynamic. They are the who's who of financial and physical health in New Jersey. And they bring us all together. There's women from all walks of life. And we just get together and have a great time.
This wasn't just a symposium. It was a commitment to ourselves, to each other, and to a healthier, more empowered New Jersey. In Bergen County, women gather to explore a chapter of life often misunderstood or not talked about at all. Demystify Menopause is breaking the silence and changing the narrative. Let's head to the terrace in Paramus to learn more. In Paramus, women gather not just for education, but for each other. Women for Women was a night of connection, visibility, and honest conversation about a stage of life that too often goes unspoken. Tell us what we're doing here tonight.
We are here to open up the menopause revolution and talk about myths and bust out the myths and push away shame that's related to anything menopause.
The event brought together voices from across the Garden State, women who showed up not only to listen and learn, but to support each other in ways that last long after the event ends.
What is the biggest myth that you want to demystify tonight?
That's a great question. There's so many. I think the biggest myth is you don't know what you don't know, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. And in order to be more empowered, you have to educate yourself. If we can help women understand themselves better, and their spouses for that matter, because they're really going through it as well, then everyone ends up in a better place.
From stories of strength to calls for community support, the panelists brought knowledge and compassion to the forefront.
We want to show that it actually is possible to take care of yourself, that wellness does not have to be complicated, and especially when we're talking about something like menopause, which for so many years has been kind of treated as this don't talk about it, you're on your own kind of thing, just to show that really we have a whole community here.
It empowers women to take control of their health, so that gives them tools that they know that they can do something to help themselves, so they don't need to suffer through menopause and be told, well, there's nothing you can do.
So this kind of puts the big question at ease, and women know they can come to this event and find everybody that they need, from a health coach to a personal trainer to a physician, from a pharmacist, any types of doctors, that we're all here to help, and they just need to ask the proper questions.
At the center of the event was Emmy-winning journalist Tamsen Fadal, once a nightly presence on the news, now a nationally recognized advocate for women's health. She left TV to help rewrite the narrative around midlife and menopause. And here in New Jersey, her voice rang loud and clear.
I don't think we were taught how to menopause and how to do midlife and how to be a woman at this time in our lives. And I think when we come together like this in community and have this social support, it is critical. I get so energized when I'm at events like this and I feel other women and I see other women and I make relationships, and I think that's what really matters during this time.
So it's one thing to be on TV every night delivering the news, but now you're telling stories about yourself.
Very different.
How did you get over that hurdle and that fear?
I think that the reason that this is still feels good for me is because I know there's so many women who are all in the same boat. We all have the same story. We're all dealing with a lot of these same things, especially in midlife. And so I feel like I'm learning from all of them and sharing their stories as well, so it feels good.
This impactful night wouldn't have been possible without the vision and determination of its planners, who believe that when women are given space to show up for themselves, everything changes.
If you educate people who want to learn, they will show up for themselves. I have to believe that, and they have been doing that between all my other Women for Women Today events. That's all about women showing up for themselves. I would say half the people here today came alone, and we're normalizing it. Like I said in my interview before, if you look around the room, she's just like you, she's just like you, and we're all here together to get answers.
As one attendee shared, the best part of this night wasn't just the panels or the experts. It was being seen, heard, and supported.
These conversations are needed because my mother never had the conversation with me, and I know a lot of folks, their parents never had the conversation. So the fact that we're being so open with each other about, hey, there may be something that is going on with you, and you can seek help. It's okay, and I really appreciate that.
From Paramus to every corner of the Garden State, women are leading a movement built on truth, connection, and strength. New Jersey isn't just part of the change, it's where it's happening. Back at our studio, I sat down with Danielle Sherman-Lazar, a devoted mother of 4, mental health advocate, and author whose powerful work lifts the veil on the raw and real moments of motherhood. Welcome, Danielle, to the show.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all of your success, but writing a book is just another level. I think you would agree with that.
Thank you.
So tell us what inspired you to write this.
So there has been many times in my life where I've thought, how am I going to do this? I struggled with an eating disorder for 2 decades. And when I was 26, I had a seizure and I ended up in the hospital. And during my recovery, my first thought was, how am I going to do this? And through overcoming it, I became so much better and stronger. And it's been the same thing with motherhood. Like every hard thing that I faced, I've always thought, how am I going to do this? And then through NICU stays, through diagnoses, and through every experience I got through, because you'll get through for your children, you will. And I became a better parent, a stronger parent, and just so much more resilient.
So your eating disorder, did it overlap with becoming a mother?
No.
Okay.
It didn't. I was in recovery for 3 years.
Before
I became a
pregnant
mother.
With your first.
Yeah.
So dealing with all of that, now your body is changing in a big way. How did you overcome maybe some of the struggles you had with that?
You know what? It actually, being pregnant made me realize how amazing my body was and how amazing that it can grow a baby and that it can feed a baby, and it just made me accept it more. And also, I have 4 daughters, so I want them to feel so good about themselves. So it just keeps me very honest and very, yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course. State the ages of your daughters, because I can't even believe you had the time to come in here today.
9, 7, turning 6, and turning 3.
Unbelievable. I mean, I only have 2. I stopped at 2.
Well, not only had 2. It's
Yeah,
a lot.
I know.
Everything's a lot.
And the boy sometimes feels like having 4 because of the energy. How did you carve out time? Because you need to be hyper-focused in your own world, no distractions to write a book. I'm an author as well, believe me, I know that. So how did you make the time to craft this?
It was very hard to find the time. I found that during like little pockets of the day when I had time, I would just like pull up my laptop and type, or if I have a thought, I would put it in my, like I would text myself. Also, my husband took over bedtime, so I would just put the baby to bed, and then after he would take over the other 3 to give me hours to do the work at night, and I would stay up too late most nights. But I did love it because writing really brings me back to me outside of motherhood, so it was very like cathartic, and it was a good thing for me.
What is the one takeaway from your book that you want readers to have?
That women, we're so strong, and we can do anything. And especially when it comes to our children. And also that we're not alone, no matter what we're going through.
You use a lot of real life stories to make your points. What are some of the stories that you bring to life in your book?
Well, I had a struggle with breastfeeding, so I talk about that to basically talk about how I let go of perfection and learn to give myself grace. I've had a daughter in the NICU, which I talk about, just talking about how we can get through hard things. I do talk about the comparison game and how earlier doesn't mean better. Like, it doesn't matter. Everyone will get there, and it's not a race to the top.
So it's very motivating, your book, it sounds like. Because, I mean, just from those small examples you just gave, I could relate to every single one of them.
Yeah, I really wanted to empower women, and mothers especially. And we're so hard on ourselves when we are amazing, and we really can do anything.
We certainly can. All authors need a huge social media platform, and you did an amazing job building that. Tell us about your whole social media entrepreneur side.
Oh, thank you. So right after my recovery, when I was recovering, so when I went through my eating disorder, it was more of a time where people weren't talking about their mental health as much as they do today. So I felt alone in my struggles. So I started my page so other people wouldn't have to go through what I went through, and they would ask for help beforehand. Because I literally, when I was going through it, I didn't even look up anything about eating disorders because I had so much shame about it. And I didn't want someone to feel the same. And then when I had my babies, I started talking about motherhood and how, you know, there's a lot of things in motherhood that a lot of mothers feel alone, a lot of mothers feel isolated. And then I also talked about how much I love motherhood because I love it. And that's how it kind of evolved from mental health, and now it's mental health and motherhood, which my 2 passions.
Hey, it ties hand in hand. You
Yes,
have to
truly,
be mentally
truly
strong to get through the minute by minute that all mothers have to do.
Truly, you really do.
How many followers do you have on your platforms?
I have 416,000 on Facebook. Instagram's 154,000.
Wow. So not only are you a rock star mom and author, but it takes a lot of consistency, focus to have a social media page like that. I mean, that's huge.
Well, I love writing, and it's always been something that, like, I come home and at the end of the day after putting everyone to bed, I just like pull out my computer and I just write, and it's like truly a way to bring myself back to me, and it's also a nice way to connect with other people, and it's truly become such a passion.
It's scary putting yourself out there, though, in these very vulnerable ways. How do you overcome that fear?
You know what? Like, after I lived with shame for 26 years of my life, not totally 26, but since I was in 3rd grade, I lived with so much shame. So when I was going through my recovery, there was kind of a time where I was thinking, okay, you're going to either live or you're going to die. And if you're going to live, you're going to change your life, because I couldn't go on living the way I was living for so long. So ever since then, I'm just not afraid of putting myself out there. I really don't care what people think. I cared for so long that I'm just, at this point, you know, you only have one life, And I'm just doing it right this time. And I want my kids also to be able to live. I don't want them to like try to hide and not live their life to the fullest.
Exactly. And plus, as a mother, you're so tired. At the end of the day, a lot of the little things you would harp on pre-motherhood, you just don't have the time for.
Oh, yeah, I could care less. It's so funny, even like the little motherhood things that I used to care about in the beginning with like one kid, now I'm like, it's not a big deal.
At 4, you are a pro.
I'm more like, you know what, I'm a pro giving myself grace, and every mother could get there. You just need to just know if you love your children and you try, you're a good mom.
Exactly.
That's it. None of the other things matter.
So you do all of this, and you also work for your family business, which I think is so interesting. Tell us a bit about that before we wrap.
We're in the taxi cab business, so it's kind of random, but I do the accounting work behind the scenes from home. And it's hard finding the balance of that. But you know what, it's so funny. I'm able to, now that my daughter's old enough, my youngest, she's turning 3, so I'm able to like bribe her. You see, this is like, you give yourself a lot of grace. I'm able to like bribe her with like a firecracker. She loves ice pops, so she'll like eat her firecracker pop and I'll just like do some work.
I wish my kids would fall for that. They don't allow me, and everyone in the back here knows I cannot do calls with my kids around because
calls are like,
they just climb on me. I have to like go hide in a closet.
You know, calls are like a whole different beast though. It's like they're competing with the call.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And hey, being a business owner definitely prepared me for motherhood. And I think you can agree with that, because when you own a business, you're constantly distracted. You have to put out fires. It's all on you. So I like to say, like, I am a mother of 4. Basically, 2 businesses, 2 babies.
No, it's so true.
It really is. Well, thank you so much for coming here today. This was awesome. Where can people find out more about you and to order a copy of the book?
You can find me on Facebook at Living Full by Danielle Sherman Lazar, and Living Full After ED on Instagram. And yeah. Oh, you can also find me on Amazon. It's at all retailers, the book.
Danielle, thank you so much for coming here today. And we got to shout out Angela Thomas for connecting us.
Yes.
Best of luck with the book and everything in life.
Aw, thank you, you too.
Next week on Your New Jersey.
It's been many years. You know, it's really over 30 years probably of painting and being around all these players. And I think, you know, for me, is like the stories that have come from meeting all these guys and being able to share that. Most people don't realize, you know, going back to DiMaggio and Mantle and Williams. So I think the book sort of helps celebrate all that.
Writing a book is no small feat, and it's based on your personal story.
Yes.
It's not just a normal cookbook.
No, it's not. And you know, I really wanted to make sure that whoever picked up the book wasn't just going to get another vehicle for comparison. I know cookbooks are supposed to be aspirational and the pictures are beautiful. My team did a great job, but I didn't want someone to leaf through it and be like, wow, I could never make my table look like that. I wish I wish my home looked this way. I wish my food looked this way. She must have such a great life. I didn't feel right just plopping that into someone's hands. And I wanted to be able to, I guess, in a sense, grab them and say, you're doing a good job. Like, maybe you're not going to be on the cover of Forbes magazine this week, but that doesn't mean what you're doing in your home with your family, your community is any less important.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.